Good morning, commuters. Welcome to the Malone's Commute podcast. Driving the Ford Escape, 82,384 miles. Oh, woof. So, got through the life story. Hope it wasn't too agonizing for you guys. Took me a lot longer than it should. So now we're on to bigger and better things. So I know some people were asking, hey, how do I get started in sim racing? I said, oh, well, that sounds like a topic for the Commuter podcast. So we're going to discuss it now. And really, I don't know how much I have to say about how to get started in sim racing because it's pretty easy. It all depends on what your level is going to be. I mean, it can be super easy, as easy as getting a console, a PS4, what are those kids playing now? Xbox 360, Xbox One, and Xbox X. What do they call them? I have no idea. But it's as easy as, you could console game and play some Forza, play some Project Cards 2, I think, is on console. So it's easy as that, and getting in, using a controller. But is that really sim racing? I think the level that we're at is a little bit different than like console gaming. So if you really want to get into actual sim racing, yeah, it's a little bit different than grabbing the controller, sitting on your couch, and firing up a racing game. So what do you got to do? Well, if you really want to get into sim racing on the higher tier level, you got to get a computer. You got to get a decent gaming computer, which, nowadays, not that hard to get into, really. I mean, $500, $600, $700, and you can have yourself a pretty decent gaming computer nowadays. Back in the day, you were looking at spending $1,300 for a mid-tier level gaming PC. Back in my day, I tell you, back in my day. So yeah, and you can check on whatever simulator that you want to run. You can check on like minimum hardware recommendations, and but it doesn't take much, really. It doesn't take much at all. You don't need an RTX. You don't need like a 2080 or anything graphics card, and some of these i5 processors are definitely good enough, right? So you're looking at getting a decent gaming computer. Some people already have them. They said, okay, well, I'm good. Check that box off the list. Okay, well, now you're looking into some equipment. This is when it gets fun, because now there's more and more people, more and more companies selling steering wheels and pedals and shifters. You got Thrustmaster, you got Fanatic, you got Logitech, and then you get up to the higher tier stuff. You got Heisenfelds, you got Simucube, you got, well, Fanatic sells everything, but what kind of level do you want to start at? Let's just imagine you're starting out at zero. You have nothing, Sim racing, what is sim racing to you? Is it a fun video game you play every other weekend for a couple hours? Would you consider it a hobby? Do you consider it a part-time job that doesn't pay you anything? How serious is this to you? And that's the question you have to answer for yourself. Is this something where, a lot of people play golf. Some guys, they're in a league and they play once a week in a league, and then maybe they go on the weekends and they play. They're there all the time. So guess what? They got a pretty nice set of clubs. They got all the equipment. They got nice golf balls. They got a nice glove. They got nice shoes. You know, they've invested money into the equipment to make their experience that much more enjoyable. And, you know, there's a certain level of equipment you need to get to a certain level of, you know, where, you know, all the practice you're putting in and all the time you're putting into it, it's worth it. And the equipment's going to allow you, it's going to raise your ceiling, in my opinion. It's not all about immersion. A lot of this equipment that they're selling, it's really going to raise your ceiling as far as what you're going to be able to achieve in the simulator. As far as, you know, how well are you going to do? You know, you got to put in the time, you got to put in the effort. So really, you got to answer those questions for yourself. Are you going to be a weekend warrior? Do you have a wife and kids, and you maybe can only get to it, you know, once a month for a couple hours? Maybe it's every other weekend. You know, it all depends, and how much money you want to sink into this, because you don't want to sink $2,000-$3,000 into this and just have it sit there, right, for months on end without even being used. It's really bad when it comes to computers, especially. You don't just want to build a really nice computer and just have it sit there, because every day it's sitting there is one more day it's closer to being obsolete, you know, or something else is coming out and stuff like that. So yeah, make sure you know what you're getting into. And I always think of sim racing as a hobby. You know, it's something that you're passionate about. It's something that you're going to be doing on a consistent basis. So you want to have the good equipment. You want to have, when you do finally, you know, go down to the basement or go into your racing room or your office, this is your time with the simulator. This is your time to put some laps in. This is time you've carved out, you've set aside to participate in your hobby. And, you know, that's very important. You know, especially, you know, most people, they got a 9-to-5, they got kids, they got family, they got obligations. You need some escapism in your life and a way to really just get away and do what you want to do. So yeah, I would do a lot of research on what types of equipment you can get. Really cheap though, as far as getting into an entry level steering wheel and pedal set. I would definitely look into Logitech or Thrustmaster when it comes to just your basic, you know, table-mounted wheel and nice little all-in-one pedal set with a pedal plate, you know, that you can just put right on the ground. You can, you know, put everything up against your office desk or a kitchen table. You know, all you need is a single monitor. Just to kind of get started. Sometimes people are like, well, I don't know if I really like it, or I don't know if I'm gonna, you know, want to get into this, or I don't know how much I'm gonna be racing for. Then yeah, there's always a progression of equipment, right? You don't right off the gates without even turning one lap on any simulator or racing game ever in your life. You don't go spending $5,000-$6,000 or Quirk style money like $15,000-$20,000 on a sim rig that you may not like, right? You could be doing it for a couple months and be like, it's not really my thing, you know. And sometimes, you know, it's understandable. You don't know unless you're really into it whether or not you like it. You know, maybe you like, you know, maybe some people think they're into gardening, right? And so they get their nice little plot of land and they get a rototiller and they get out there and they're gonna rototill the ground up and they're gonna plant some seeds. And after a while, they're just looking around and be like, you know, this gardening thing sucks. You know, I can go buy lettuce from the store, easy. Hey, here's a police officer. I'm gonna pretend like I'm not vlogging. Okay, we're good. We're clear. Sector clear. So it all depends, I mean, some people have grown up playing racing games and they're like, I want a little bit more. That was kind of my story where, I played Forza and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I want something more. I want to be fully immersed in this, So there's some deep inner questions you got to ask yourself: what you're getting into, why you're getting into it. Is it really just, are you getting into sim racing because of the true love of racing? Like, are you like one of those guys that just loves to hot lap by yourself, just fully immersed in the car and the track yourself? Or are you more of like a community guy where you want to meet like-minded people in the sim racing community and do a lot of online multiplayer racing, get involved in a league and start meeting some people? I mean, that's a whole nother thing. A lot of people, they get involved in leagues and they start organizing leagues, and they're doing this and doing that, and really at the end of the day, they're not doing a whole lot of racing, but it's a sense of community. You're hanging out with your friends, you're talking sim racing, you're talking cars. Are you just a car guy, right? Certain people just love cars, and maybe they want a particular racing game or racing simulator that's just all about the cars and not necessarily the racing, right? Well, you might want to look into that. iRacing, there's a select amount of cars, and you can't like upgrade them or anything. A game like Forza Motorsports is great for like the car nut, right? Because there's hundreds and hundreds of cars. You can upgrade them, you can paint them, you can, put on a bunch of different aero packages, and really, if you love cars, maybe go that direction. Or, my experience is kind of limited with simulators. I mean, I'm really just an iRacing fanboy, but, iRacing is more geared towards racing, right? Racing against other real world players, in like more sanctioned, disciplined racing events, right? So you have to know what your passion is, so then you can pursue it. For me, it's definitely racing, like door-to-door racing. I'm not much of a hot lapper. It's fun, but it all depends on what you want to do with it. So just go from there, and like I said, maybe start out slow, get yourself a G29 or entry-level equipment. And if all you're buying is the wheel and pedal set and you have everything else, you're looking at what, $300, $400, $500 at the most for a decent setup. And just go from there. I mean, yeah, of course you got to buy the simulator, the game. iRacing is based on a subscription. It's a subscription-based system where you're paying monthly, or you can pay 3 months at a time, 6 months at a time, a year at a time, and that's actually a good thing for people first starting out. That was my mentality. Where I didn't have to buy a $60 game. I could just get 1 month or 3 months for probably half that, like $30 or something. But I knew that I wasn't fully investing. But I could try it out for 3 months, and if I didn't like it, I didn't, whatever. And with the equipment, take good care of it. Take good care of it. Don't spit on it. Don't rub your boogers on it like I do. Take good care of it, and then when you're ready to upgrade, or maybe you decide you don't like sim racing, then you can sell it, right? You can sell it. People are going to buy it. It's not like this equipment's available at your Best Buys or your Fry's or your, you can't just walk into Walmart and get like a really nice setup. Although I think I did see like a Thrustmaster wheel and pedal set at a Walmart once, but that'd be super entry level, but maybe that's where you start, Now, if you're really careful with the packaging and you did happen to buy something from Walmart and you didn't like it like a month later, just return it. Like, it didn't work out for me. Usually Walmart doesn't ask any questions. As long as you have your receipt and it's all in the box, properly packaged, and it's all there, and they'll usually take it back. So But let's just talk to people that are actually interested in sim racing. It's just a matter of what level you are. And you know what's great about sim racing is that if you're going to be building a rig, like a cockpit, like a proper racing rig setup, is that being able to customize it all. I mean, sometimes that's half the fun. Is I love looking at people's pictures of their rigs, because every single picture of someone's rig is different. They got the shifter in a different spot. They got the pedals at a different height. They got the wheel at a different angle coming out. They got a different rim. They got different monitor angles, different monitor heights, different seats, and it's amazing. Like what I don't know about most people love to like customize stuff. They like to put their own mark on it. And the sim rig is definitely one of those things in this world where, no two rigs are alike, unless you're at some like corporate event or something and it's sponsored by, whatever, and they're all exactly the same. But usually when it comes to personal rigs, they're all so unique and personalized, and their own little signature qualities to it. I always find it funny when I see a guy who's built a really nice rig, and then the monitors are 7 feet away. I'm like, dope. I'm like, what are you doing? But whatever, depending on people's room setup or how they have it, if you don't have a monitor mount or something, you got to deal with what you deal with, But anyway, so yeah, I mean, like I said, start out entry level, and then, look into some higher equipment. Like I said, you can always be like, if you're taking good care of your equipment, you can always be selling the old equipment to upgrade to new equipment. And look, this is not a cheap hobby, right? So you have to know that going in. This isn't oh, I'm going to start playing baseball at my local. Nah, this is a bad example. I don't know. It's not like tennis, right? Well, all you got to do for tennis is go buy a racket and some balls, and you're done, right? And it's a small investment. Which, by the way, we have tennis courts in our subdivision. That's the reason I bring this up. And I do want to start playing tennis. I used to play way back in the day with my friends. We used to play tennis, and I want to play against Samantha and whoop her butt. So I want to do that. Anyway, it'd be good exercise. So yeah, don't go into this thinking, I can go buy on the cheap and, have a lot of fun. And a lot of it really is you're paying for immersion. So going from a single monitor to a triple monitor, yeah, it's going to help you a little bit in races to be able to see more, but really it's immersion. You're immersing yourself in the simulator. You want to get in there. And a lot of people nowadays are going all VR, which is a great option, especially if you don't plan on doing, any YouTube videos or any content creation. You're just looking to race. Like, look into VR. And if there's a way you can test out VR for an extended period of time without buying it, I don't know if you can or not, just to see if you're prone to motion sickness or if it's something that you really want to try to do, then definitely look into that, because when you're talking fully immersed, the VR is definitely the way to go, especially nowadays. I'm not too up on the VR stuff, but I know that people are always talking about the new one and the this and the that and the better resolution, and oh my gosh, I can't believe this, and once you go VR, you never go back. So definitely look into that. But VR also has its other challenges, like you can't see the buttons on your wheel, or I mean, you're fully in the game. You can't see all your extra if you got button boxes and this, that, and the other thing. So just be aware of that. But yeah, force feedback. What do you want? I mean, most of the time, these higher end wheels, like the direct drive wheels and stuff, it will make you better in the sense that you're receiving more information from the simulator through the wheel, but nothing really supersedes practice. Meaning, no matter what equipment you have, you can always overcome it unless there's like a flaw, right? A mechanical flaw, or it's like breaking down. You can always overcome it with practice. You can practice you can learn your specific equipment and be better than just about anybody out there that's using high-end stuff. So in no way should you think that by buying better equipment, you're going to be better. Now, there is a small... this is my opinion, obviously. Now, I believe getting better equipment will raise your ceiling to like your talent achievement level, like your potential. I think it'll raise your ceiling for your potential of being better, just because you do have the better equipment and it is giving you more information, and the resolutions are higher, like on the pedals and on the steering and stuff. But man, I'm telling you, that's a very small percentage compared to just practicing and making sure whatever equipment you have is dialed in to your liking. You can do a lot of damage with some real basic equipment out there on the track, you know, just as like a social experiment. They should somehow do like some survey, like do like a full iRacing survey of like, what's your I rating, how many total wins do you have, and then tell me what your equipment is and how many monitors you're running, like some basic questions. And you'd be super surprised, especially on the oval side, about how basic some of these guys' equipment is, And there's always the outliers, like I spent $20,000 on this rig, and I'm Ray Alfella, I don't know what rig he's got, but he's a well-accomplished sim racer, and he's not on a cheap equipment set. So, but for the majority of sim racers that are the average Joe sim racer, they're not spending multiples of thousands of dollars on this stuff, and they're doing just fine, and they're having a freaking blast. So just keep that in mind. It's not like, well, if I get a G25, I use G25, there's no way I'm going to be able to compete. Well, you're just lying to yourself, and it's just not true. It's just not true. The more practice you do, the better you're going to get. There's no, I think some people have like this sense of feeling where, like, oh man, I'm struggling, I'm not doing very good, I'm always like, second split in the middle of the pack, I just can't seem to go any faster, and they think, I'll just buy a new wheel, I'll be faster, right? They trick themselves into thinking that they can somehow skip all the practice and just get to the good equipment. That's going to make them faster. It's not true at all. In fact, when you upgrade to new equipment, you're going to notice yourself going backwards and talent level on the track until you get used to your equipment. So I've used the Fanatic V2 base with the Porsche rim for 4 years now, and I just upgraded to the VRS direct drive wheelbase, and I'm still using the Porsche rim. But I think my consistency, I'm not the greatest sim racer out there, but I think I'm pretty consistent, and I think I'm good enough to be able to just kind of jump into races without much practice. And I really credit that to the fact that I'm just so used to my equipment. I'm still getting used to the new direct drive, and definitely noticed I've taken a step back a little bit. So yeah, it's a situation where the equipment's not going to make you better. You are going to make you better by putting in the time, and that's just it. You're getting into sim racing, you're going to be very discouraged, especially with a game like iRacing or like an R Factor 2 or the higher level simulators. Like, don't expect greatness the first time you hook it up. Don't let it deter you. You're looking for improvement. It doesn't matter what everybody else is doing. Look at what you are doing and whether or not you're improving or not to keep you going. In the beginning, it can be a lot of fun because you're improving quite a bit. You're shaving full seconds off your lap time, you're seeing results extremely quickly when you first start out. And then when you get better and better and better, now you're looking to shave a 1/10 off your lap time, and that's a huge achievement. So, but there's always ups and downs. There's always ebbs and flows. There's, you can go on a bad streak. You can have a bad month. You can have a bad year, for crying out loud. You can have one bad race and then jump into the next race and have a great race. So that's just the way racing is, man. If you ride that roller coaster, man, you're gonna have you could have a mental breakdown. So you gotta first and foremost have fun with it. Realize that it is just a game. In the very end, it's just a game, right? It's definitely a hobby. It's an expensive hobby, but so a lot of people say, why don't you just race for real? It's like, well, so I don't have to buy tires every time I go into the pits. I'm not buying fuel. I'm not buying brake pads. It's a lot of overhead expenses, like, buy your rig, buy your wheel and pedal sets, and then that's the initial cost. And then all that equipment should last you, 4, 5, 6 years if you take care of it, and depending on how much you race. My V 2.0 wheelbase still going strong. It's been 4 years. So anyway, so getting into sim racing, it's not hard. Just dive in head first, and if you don't like it, whatever. Now that you don't like sim racing. But if you do get into it, look into some leagues. If you're looking into meeting some people, get on Twitch. Twitch is a great place to meet people in the sim racing community. Get involved in some endurance racing. Endurance racing, it's kind of new to iRacing in the last couple years, but I think I'm just coming up with this out of the top of my head, just talking out of my butt here. But I bet you this whole endurance racing thing that iRacing started has really, how am I going to say this? Like, formed a lot of good relationships with people. Because I see in the forums, hey, 24 hours at Daytona's coming up. I'm looking for teammates. If, boom, they get a couple teammates, maybe they don't know each other, maybe they've ran a couple races, but the friendships that have been formed just over some of these long endurance races, I bet, in the sim racing community, invaluable, right? Meet new people, maybe, because a 24-hour race is a long time. And not to say that you're hanging out like on Discord or TeamSpeak the whole race, but you're talking, you're prepping before the race, you're hanging out, you're getting to know each other, you're forming friendships, and that's invaluable. I'm sure a lot of people have become very good friends just by doing, just happened to see somebody that needed a teammate for a race and got involved and started hanging out, and that's beautiful. That is a beautiful thing, and the internet, meeting people on the internet used to be kind of stigmatized. It's not so much anymore, for good reason, especially when it's something like as wholesome as sim racing. Sim racing is by far the most wholesome type of video gaming you can do. There's no killing any. You can kill someone in iRacing, but that's not the objective, right? The objective is to have a nice gentleman's race and respect your fellow opponent and this, that, and the other thing. Oh, this guy. There's a truck here. He started rolling backwards. I should have gave more room. Anyway, we're good. I was going to have to back up, but there's someone behind me. That could have been trouble. But, that's a thought I just had, and that's a beautiful thing, man, So, like I said, it all depends on what you want to get out of your experience with sim racing. So explore those ideas in your own head. If you guys have any questions, leave them down below. But bottom line, too long didn't didn't watch is that it's easy to get into sim racing. It can be kind of on the cheap side at first, but there's a huge range of levels that you can get into it with. But really, just entry level stuff. There's a lot of people that play iRacing with just a controller, right? And they do that for a couple reasons. One is just because they don't know if they're going to like it. Two, they don't have the money, And really, though, to be honest, you got to figure out your budget. And if your budget is $200, or maybe you only have $200 to get into sim racing, if the last $200 you have in your bank account you're going to use for sim racing, don't do it. Don't do it. Make sure you have $200 extra somewhere that is just laying around. $200, $300, $400 that's just laying around. Maybe then get into it. But if all you have is $200, $300, then don't do it, because it's just a game, right? So you got to figure out a budget. Figure out what kind of money can I put aside just for iRacing or just for sim racing, and make sure you're still paying your bills, right? Don't go broke sim racing, because there's no money in it. You're not going to get any money out of it, right? You're just going to be putting money into it. So be smart about it, and if it's something that, like, hey, maybe put yourself on a plan. Like, maybe, okay, I want to be sim racing a year from today. So you just start putting money away every month, every week. Start putting money away. Make it your sim racing. Get a big envelope and write on there sim racing, and just start putting cash into it every week or every month, And by the end of the year, you're gonna have a big pile of cash, and be smart about it. But if you're any type of fan of racing, if you're a fan of motorsports, if you're a fan of cars, if you're a fan of camaraderie and good, respectful competition, definitely look into sim racing, because if you got that itch, sim racers and real racers, they'll tell you that you get an itch, man. You got an itch to race, you got an itch to go fast, you got an itch to nail that apex, and it's just so much fun. I was totally here first, buddy. Okay, great. So get into it, man. Look into it. There's a lot of YouTube videos. There's a lot of tutorials. I know iRacing they're like 6 years old now, but the information doesn't change. The fact that you hit an apex and power out, that's timeless, right? So check out the iRacing tutorial videos. They're a little, just watch them. They're not bad. They're pretty well produced. They're not horrible. As a new sim racer, definitely check those out to kind of get you started, get you understanding if you're totally new to everything, and just see how it is for you. But anyway, man, hope it doesn't rain today. I got a couple of dirt jobs going on. So thank you guys so much. I hope you guys are enjoying the podcast, and hopefully I can just start doing like one-offs. Like this one was how to get started in sim racing. I may not be the best to like explore all the different avenues that lead into some of these topics, but I'm gonna tell you like it is and tell you what's on my mind. If you guys have some additional points, put them down in the comments below. Start a dialogue down there. If you guys have any topic ideas, I think tomorrow, unless something changes, I think I'll try to do. Okay, now that you're into sim racing, right? Let's say you're into sim racing. Let's say how to start streaming your sim racing, or just creating YouTube videos of your sim racing in a variety of different ways. Maybe my plan would be to explore that topic tomorrow, starting your own YouTube channel or Twitch channel, and how to stream, and not necessarily technical stuff. Like I'm not going to have an OBS tutorial here as a vlog, but just the ideas behind it and how to get started with that. So we'll do that. Have a great day, commuters. This is Matt Malone checking out. Hope you guys have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.